Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside Stratus Arena, inside the Rothman Center here in Hackensack, New Jersey. The setting for tonight's volleyball showdown here in women's volleyball action and out-of-conference affair as the MAC St. Peter's Peacocks come calling, looking for their first win of the season as they take on the FDU Knights, 7-10 on the year, trying to extend their win streak to 4 straight matches. Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Long, courtside here alongside my producer, Preston Jones. Thanks so much for joining us here on NEC Front Row, your broadcast home for FDU Athletics. The Knights have been roaring red hot so far here in this homestand. They have won 3 in a row since coming here inside Stratus Arena, defeating Manhattan 3-0, Merrimack 3-0, and Stonehill 3-0. And are trying to continue their winning ways here tonight against St. Peter's, a team that defeated FDU a season ago when these sides met on September 11, 2021. Peacocks won 3-1 as part of the Friar Classic at Providence College. So FDU trying to not only win their 4th straight match, but also tie their win total from a season ago when they went 8-20 overall. FDU is going to be wearing their burgundy tops with blue pants. Well, St. Peter's is going to be in the all blue. Joe Chinacki, the head coach at St. Peter's in his 4th season. David Wynn in his 1st season. Here in charge of FDU, and we are underway with the first service of the night from Hannah Schmidt. Kylie Knott in charge of the back line. Sent it over, and St. Peter's looking for the first point of the night, and they will get it. And that was deflected last touch out of bounds, and will be a 1-0 lead for St. Peter's. 0-15 on the season are the Peacocks, coming off a 3-0 loss against Iona. They're 0-3 in the MAC, taking part here in this out-of-conference showdown. Blocked at the net, and back-to-back points here for St. Peter's. That time it was Elena Billhartz, the 6'3 freshman from Round Rock, Texas, making her presence felt in front. 2-0 lead for St. Peter's here in the opening set. Nice job there of playing a little defense. Lillian Conrad. Conrad again, popping it straight up after FDU denied the kill. Not going to the back line, sent right back over by Lakin Dillon. He's the Libero in white, the Libero in blue for FDU. Sarah Watts, another block in the front of the net. And what a start for St. Peter's. On top 3-0. That was a long volley between the two sides. FDU unable to secure their first point so far. And now they will, courtesy of the service error by Sydney Kuzma. And FDU is on the board. They trail by 2, 3-1. FDU defeating Manhattan, another MAC conference opponent, to start off their homestand here on September 20th and have won back-to-back NEC conference games. There's a block in front as that's produced right in front of the net by Sophia Spiridonakis, the 6-foot grad student from Sewickley, Pennsylvania. 30 blocks on the season coming into today's play. Back-to-back points for FDU. They trail by 1, 3-2. That's sent up, and here come the Knights trying to even the score. Nice job by Dillon, but could not get it up and over. A point secured once again for FDU. The Knights come into play 7-10 overall in the season, 2-0 in the NEC. They are in a tie with 2 other teams for first place in the Northeast Conference. So after a 3-0 start by St. Peter's, it's been a 3 straight run of points. And now a chance for their first lead. Knott gets it deflected. Last touch off of the Peacocks. And FDU now on a 4-point run. They lead 4-3. FDU trying to exact revenge after losing against St. Peter's last year at Providence College in the Friar Invitational. That's a service error that time for Georgia Vaschetti into the net. That'll draw the match even now at 4-4 here in the opening set. FDU went 8-20 overall last season. They can go to 8-10 already with a win here tonight. Under new head coach David Wynn. That time deflected. And last touch off of Kuzma. It's going to be another point secured by FDU. Knights lead 5-4. David Wynn was hired as the head coach in January of 2022. Previously served as an assistant coach at Coastal Carolina, William & Mary, Virginia, and Virginia Commonwealth. That time not touched. That goes long on the play. That's going to be another point for FDU, who extend their lead now to 2 at 6-4. We saw against the Jaspers of Manhattan, FDU have a slow start at the beginning of some of their sets as well. Trailed the Jaspers by as many as 4. Trailed the Peacocks here today by as many as 3, but that cross-court winner now is going to give the point over to St. Peter's. They'll pull back to within 1 at 6-5. They led 3-0. Then it was 4 straight points for FDU. The largest lead for FDU so far in this opening set has been 2. That time, a miss hits on that play by Vaschetti. The 6'2 freshman from Carmagnola, Italy. Just a little too strong there in that advance. All tied up at 6-6. Nice tap there, but an even better save by St. Peter's. And they slice it just in front of the net, curling just before it went out of bounds to the far side. Excellent decision there in front, and now St. Peter's has gone on a run. They've taken the lead back at 7-6. Schmidt setting up her teammate. And they're going to say that that's going to be a violation against FDU. So another point for St. Peter's. Peacocks had their hardest fought match of the season just a couple of matches ago against Manhattan. They lost in 5 sets, 3-2 against the Jaspers. There's a cross-court winner. That was beautiful. Taken over to the near side by Tatiana Futska. A 6'3 grad student, another Italian, playing here for this FDU program. Began her collegiate career at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. Now Megan Bushnell. Bushnell into the match. That's deflected initially and then fell in between the front line and the back line, and that falls in for a point. St. Peter's takes a 9-7 advantage here in the opening set here tonight. Welcome inside Stratus Arena, inside the Rothman Center here, a matchup of 2 New Jersey schools in Bergen County. As it's Bergen County versus Hudson County here today. As that's deflected, last touch off of St. Peter's, another kill. Credit here to Kylie Knott. Knott leads the team with 176.5 points coming into tonight's action. Kylie Knott had 11 kills, 5 digs in their win most recently against Stonehill, the newest participants in the Northeast Conference. As St. Peter's too strong, too long on that time, as Kuzma, the freshman from Portland, Texas, knocks that out of bounds. Back-to-back points secured. Here's Knott with the service, 9-9 the score. In front, that's deflected, and that's going to be a violation against St. Peter's. They cross the midcourt stripe underneath the net. That'll gift another points. It's now a run here for FDU. Both teams have gone on runs so far in the early vestiges of our opening set. 10-9. Knott with a tough serve there. As that's deflected, no, they're going to say that went out of bounds to the far side. So once again, Kuzma just not able to line it up in time. And the run continues here for FDU, 11-9. Kylie Knott has been sensational in her freshman season. That's deflected to the front, popped up. Now here's an opportunity. Deflected in the top of the net. FDU saving it, getting it over. Vaschetti was just trying to get a little simple touch, just like St. Peter's did right there. Excellent decision there by Sydney Kuzma, who's been active in the early goings here. FDU was selling all out there up front, and then it was just a little touch of the fingertips that sent it up and over for the point. 11-10. Nice job of the extension, and there's the slam finished. Spiking that one home in front was Tessa Fisk. Outstanding job by FDU of digging it out underneath low, and then eventually Fisk finished it home. 6'4" senior from Mercer Island, Washington will also serve now. Sent back over and tapped right over in front. That time Madison Somberg, number 0, had gotten a piece of it in the back line for the Peacocks, but then sent it right back to the front line, and that was easy pickings for the Knights up front. FDU extends their lead now to 3, 13-10 here in the opening set. Somberg getting a piece of it again in front, and that's going to be trouble. Good hustle play, though, by Dillon. Kept it alive for St. Peter's. Dillon again, full extension dive to dig it out. Excellent decision that time by FDU in the near side. Mackenzie Ruggiero, the freshman from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, with a little drop shot finish. Largest lead of the opening set now for the home Knights. It's 14-10. Fisk, who had 5 kills in the matchup against St. Peter's a year ago, serving again. And there's another well-timed drop shot. Kuzma, over on this near side wing, has been paying dividends for Coach Janacki. Billion Conrad, freshman from Hope Mills, North Carolina, now serving for St. Peter's. Popped up in front, and that was a little deception in front. Looked like Megan Bushnell was going to maybe be tipping it up top to a teammate advancing in the far side wing, but instead just used the fingertips to get it up and over. So the sophomore from Bend, Oregon. Going to say replay. And now it's going to be another point for St. Peter's, so correction, Bushnell was not credited with a point. Point was given to St. Peter's, so now the Peacocks on a run here. It was 14-10, their deficit just moments ago. They've trimmed it down to 1, 14-13. That time, Kylie not getting well out of the way there to let that one go long. It's 15-13 after the service error. As Coach David Wynn makes a couple of wholesale changes, Anna Schmidt will come back to serve. Schmidt leads the team with 17 aces on the season. Schmidt, the sophomore from Fresco, Texas, nearly ate up Dillon there. That's a hard winner down the far side for Georgia Vischetti. Vischetti coming off a 4-kill performance recently in a win against Merrimack on September 23rd. Had a season-best 14 kills in their win against Northwestern State back in late August. And there's a mishit by St. Peter's into the net. They had an opportunity up front. But that time, number 7, Elena Bilhartz, who was dominating early on in this match. In the opening set, misplayed it there. Back to a 4-point advantage, 17-13. There's an ace for Hannah Schmidt. Schmidt with her 8th ace of the season. Number 10 in burgundy and blue is heating up here, and a timeout taken on the floor. 18-13, largest lead of our opening set here for FDU, as they're trying to make it 4 straight wins on the season here in the midst of their first homestand of the season after beginning the season on the road or playing in neutral venues. As I mentioned, a season ago, they lost to St. Peter's 3-1 in 4 sets on September 11, 2021 at the Friar Classic at Providence College. This season, the Knights have been picked to finish 6th in the Northeast Conference. Number 1, Sacred Heart, the dominant force. But right now, FDU is tied alongside Sacred Heart and St. Francis University with identical 2-0 records in the NEC to kick off this new slate of games this fall. St. Peter's winless on the season, 0-3 as well in the MAC. Sitting atop the MAC standings coming into play today, Fairfield a perfect 4-0 and a 10-5 overall record. St. Peter's a season ago went 3-27, including 2-16 in the MAC. Their 3 wins on the season came against FDU and then conference rivals Manhattan and Canisius. Still looking for their first win of 2022, and FDU looking for win number 8. Schmidt will serve that one, and that is actually in. Just got a piece of the back right corner. So Schmidt with back-to-back aces. Now it's 19-13. FDU rolling right now after a slow start to the opening set. And that is hit and driven into the top of the net. Another point here for FDU. 5 points away from taking the opening set against the Peacocks. Schmidt again going to work. Diving play by Madison Somberg. Vischetti getting it back up top. Schmidt getting it to Knott, and that's not returnable. Kylie Knotts once again doing her damage. We saw her here just a couple of matches ago. 12 kills, 5 digs in a performance against Manhattan. Schmidt continuing to bedevil the Peacocks here with her service. 21-13, the lead grows, and now good placement from the near side by Camille Thonis. The junior from Highlands Ranch, Colorado, just got it away from Sarah Watts, the Libero, for FDU. 21-14, the lead for FDU. St. Peter's rallying to get the possession. At the net now, Schmidt guilty of crossing the midcourt stride herself. That's going to be a point for the Peacocks. So St. Peter's with back-to-back points. Their deficit is down to 6, 21-15. Kylie Knott leading the charge already. A team best 3 kills. Schmidt already with 6 assists and a pair of aces. Not denied, another opportunity there for a kill. Pop straight up. Watts got to it in the back line, and that time a missed jump of sorts by Vischetti. Couldn't time it and get it at its apex, and now St. Peter's trying to mount a comeback late here in our opening set. 21-16 now the deficit. Schmidt setting it up for Knott, and Knott is too long that time. So St. Peter's back to within 4, 21-17. Knott in the back line to Schmidt. Schmidt setting up to the near side. Blockered away as Futsko was trying to finish it off. Popped up. Out to the far side. Vischetti. And that time, it goes long. St. Peter's on a run. The Peacocks back to within 3, 21-18. Rallying when it matters the most here after it looked like it was going to be smooth sailing for FDU. Now a crucial service error into the net gives FDU their 22nd point. FDU back with the service, leading by 4, 22-18. Georgia Vischetti now serving. Freshman dug out by Kuzma. Deflected away, and it looks like it was hit 4 times. So that's going to be a point for St. Peter's. 22-19 again. The lead is only 3. And now Elena Billhartz will serve. Billhartz, who had 12 kills, 4 digs in their match recently against Manhattan that went to 5 sets. Tic-tac-toe finish there as that's finished off by Tatiana Futska, the 6'3 grad student. 146.5 points, including 117 kills on the season. Knights 2 points away from capturing the opening set. Tipped in front. Actually miss it going backwards. Knott will just have to get it over. At the nets, and they're going to say that's a violation against St. Peter's. So now it's going to be set points for FDU, up 24-19, a point away from taking a 1-0 set lead here in this out-of-conference showdown. Spiritonakis serving. St. Peter's desperately trying to get it over. They do in time. Schmidt setting it up, and Futska with the finish. And the Knights finish it off 25-19 for the opening set victory here inside Stratus Arena, inside the Rothman Center. So St. Peter's actually jumped out to an early 3-0 lead. And FDU went on a run to garner the lead. Both teams traded the lead early on in the set. Then FDU spread the wealth a bit, went on a long sustained run, took a comfortable lead. Nice challenge there at the end of the set by St. Peter's to pull to within 3. That's the closest they got. But then FDU had the breathing room secured at the end as they finished that one off again with a 25-19 win in set number 1. And looking at the stats from the first set, Sydney Kuzma led the charge for St. Peter's with 3 kills. Lillian Conrad dished out 7 assists. Conrad also led with 5 digs in that first. For Fairleigh Dickinson, on their side, 4 kills, including that finishing shot there by Tatiana Futska. So Futska with 4, Kylie Knott with 3 kills right behind her. 2 service aces for Hannah Schmidt. As FDU had an opportunity to take control there. Again, 25-19. We'll take a timeout before we get to the start of set number 2 as you're watching this volleyball action here on NEC Front Row.
Great seats at a great price. Get them safer, simpler, and smarter with Ticket Smarter. A proud partner to the biggest names in live sports and events, including ESPN events and iHeartRadio. TicketSmarter has seats for over 125,000 live events and 48 million tickets for sale. All backed with the TicketSmarter 100% ticket guarantee. Thinking about your next great live event? Think smarter. Think TicketSmarter. Get your tickets your way, guaranteed, at TicketSmarter.com.
So again, the stats from the first set for FDU. Futska leading the charge with 4 kills, 8 assists for Hannah Schmidt. Schmidt also had the 2 service aces. 4 digs for Georgia Vaschetti. As FDU had a slow start, similar to what we saw against Manhattan a couple of matches ago, but again, they battled back and secured that opening set despite that late charge in the opening set by St. Peter's to try to make it as close as 3 points. FDU has not only been winning, but winning at a big dominant clip so far at the beginning of this homestand. Again, they have not gone past 3 sets in their 3-0 wins against Manhattan, Merrimack, and Stonehill. Trying to make it 4 in a row here before they go back to NEC play, as they will be hosting St. Francis University on October 1st here at Stratus Arena inside the Rothman Center. And of course, you could be able to catch all the action here. Your broadcast home for FDU Athletics on NEC Front Row. Dan Long, Preston Jones, glad you could join us here tonight in Hackensack, New Jersey, with these 2 New Jersey sides matching up with one another. St. Peter's won the showdown in Rhode Island a season ago, and FDU trying to exact revenge here at home against the Peacocks and keep them winless in 2022. So we start the second set. It's going to be Lillian Conrad serving here for St. Peter's. Sarah Watts got the first piece of it. That is popped skywards right at the net. And that's going to be a whistle, and it's going to be a point given to FDU. So FDU will start off with a lead to begin set number 2. And Vaschetti will be doing the honors of serving. St. Peter's blocked at the net. That one just fell in the back line. Good placement on that shot. On the near side by Conrad. So now it's going to be service for St. Peter's, all knotted up at 1-1. Watts popping it up. Schmidt sending it over to the near side. Just a little drop shot attempt by Madison Burney, who's coming to the match. And that's going to be a point for St. Peter's. So the Peacocks take the lead 2-1. Madison Burney, the 5'11 junior outside hitter from Honolulu, Hawaii, coming in for the first time. Get it right to Burney. Pops it up to Schmidt. Schmidt dishing it off. Good defensive work there in the back line by St. Peter's. And they finish it off with a kill in front by Elena Bilhartz. So much like in the opening set, once again, St. Peter's with the advantage early. They now take a 3-1 advantage. 3 unanswered points here for St. Peter's. That service, though, by Kuzma goes long, and that'll result in a point for FDU. Peacocks have already faced 3 NEC opponents this season, having lost in 3 sets to Merrimack, St. Francis Brooklyn, and Central Connecticut State University. Watts with the service for FDU. Knights trying to get it over. They just do. Down by 1. Shoveled over by St. Peter's and then finished off. What a decision in front there. As Tessa Fisk finished it off quickly. Not allowing St. Peter's to set up their defense in front. FDU has tied it up at 3-3 now. Kind of a miss hit that worked out for St. Peter's. Burney, a floater. I don't know why St. Peter's chased after that. Great hustle, though. Just couldn't get it over in time. And now FDU has retaken the lead at 4-3. Burney kind of was fading backwards and then hit it. Looked like it was going to be a little too strong and go a little too long. But the backline player for St. Peter's was thinking maybe it was going to have a placement. Went after it, and that was a mistake. St. Peter's just getting a piece of it. Now set up Burney, punching that one over. Showing off the array of shots. Watts popping it up. Here's Burney. Cross court. Dug out nicely, though, by Dillon. In front of the net. Good volley going on, and eventually it finishes off with a point for St. Peter's. Both teams going back and forth. And eventually ended with a Peacock point. Bill Hartz will serve again. Freshman has 7 aces on the season. Leads the team with 40 blocks in the year. And she serves it into the net for an error. 5-4 lead now for FDU. As David Wynn will make a substitution. Ruggiero will come out. Bushnell will come in. And Megan Bushnell, the sophomore from Oregon, will serve. Bushnell, 19 assists, 5 dig performance last time out against Stonehill. Serves that to the back line and gets that as an ace. Ace produced by Megan Bushnell, her 8th of the season. And the sophomore will give her team now their largest lead of the second set at 2, 6-4. Popped over to the near side. Played to Burney. Burney with the kill. Madison Burney, who had a 6-kill performance, really coming all in the second set in their match against Manhattan. Dominating there, coming off the near side wing. 7-4 lead for FDU. Bushnell popping it right back to Watts. Now Burney. Burney, drop shot. Racing in was Conrad from the back line. That one is too long there by Kuzma. He's playing the back line, and now FDU has gone on one of their runs again. They've stretched the lead to 4, 8-4. And a timeout going to be taken by Coach Joe Chinaki of St. Peter's. He's sensing this is starting to get away from him a bit, as momentum has clearly shifted. What once was a 3-1 advantage for St. Peter's is now an 8-4 deficit here in set number 2, as FDU has already secured the opening set 25-19. The road ahead for FDU, as I mentioned, they'll be back here against SFU on October 1st. They'll continue their homestand afterwards the following week against Sacred Heart and Central Connecticut here at home, before finally getting back on the road beginning on October 14th at St. Francis Brooklyn. So a chance again for FDU to do a little damage here in conference play in the next couple of matches inside Stratus Arena, inside the Rothman Center. St. Peter's will head home for the first time. They have not hosted a home match so far this season. They've got a 3-match homestand coming up against Marist, Siena, and Iona, October 1st, 2nd, and 5th, before they go back on the road against Canisius and Niagara on the weekend of October 8th and 9th. So out of the timeout, 8-4 advantage here for FDU. St. Peter's trying to get to it in front. Good job in the back line there by Vaschetti. And eventually that leads to the point for St. Peter's. FDU being led still by Futska with the 4 points, the 4 kills, I should say, she had in the opening set. 9 assists on the night for Hannah Schmidt. Bernie. Bushnell back to Bernie. Deflected, goes sideways in front of the net. Now St. Peter's a chance to recover. Vaschetti dug out in the back line. And there's just deposited in front. Tessa Fisk not going to be denied, as Fisk, the 6'4 senior, just jumped up in a simple two-hand touch to drop it off in front for the points. 9-5. FDU on top. Serving here in set number 2, it's going to be Madison Burney. Burney with 6 aces on the season. And that should be another one. There it is, the ace on the near side. St. Peter's was trying to buy that call and say that that was going out of bounds, but that clearly went down the near side right in front of us in our broadcast vantage point. Capellas now getting to this one this time. In front, and that's going to be a violation against St. Peter's. That time, Morgan Thurlow was called for crossing the midcourt stripe as she was trying to have a running advance to finish that one off. So it's now 11-5, Burney and FDU on top here in set number 2. Burney again serving to the near side, popped up by Capellas. Vaschetti. Here she is, finishes it off right in front of the back line as Kuzma was frozen. Couldn't get to it in time. 12-5 lead for the Knights. FDU 3-0 here at home this season, looking for win number 4 and number 8 on the season. Popped up. Watts over to the near side. Vaschetti. That had a little velocity on it. Good job by Dylan. Libero now just getting it over for St. Peter's. She's in the white. Inside, there's Dylan again. A dynamo defensively that time. She took a header forward and came up a little short. Hopefully she's okay, too, as she was grimacing initially. Kind of had a weird fall that hurt her lower back. She seems to be fine. A gamer, 13-5 after FDU secures yet another point. Starting to pull away here in set number 2. Peacock's in desperate need of a chance to stop the bleeding here. FDU again fires that one. It's popped skyward. St. Peter's just trying to get it over. They do on the third. Again, that one is jettisoned high. Saved back in play. Great hustle by St. Peter's. That was Kuzma, almost went into the stands to save it, and it eventually is paid off with her hustle, and St. Peter's gets the point. FDU not able to finish that one off. It's 13-6 now. Knights on top, and it's Somberg who's going to be doing the serving here for the visitors from Jersey City. Sent over for FDU. Kuzma has that initially deflected in the front. And the Knights that time crossed the... No, they're going to say that that was eventually over the nets. So violation against St. Peter's, point awarded to FDU. Looks like the Knights might have been charged close in my mind to crossing past the midcourt stripe, but there's a violation before that. So the point goes over to FDU, who serve 14-6 here in the second set. Fist setting up. Wow. Velocity on that one, just too hot to handle. Georgia Vaschetti continues her hot night here inside Stratus Arena, inside the Rothman Center, as Vaschetti now up to 4 kills on the evening. 4 kills, 6 digs for number 8 in Burgundy, a freshman. And knocked off inside, as that was number 17, Kimber Lang, who's coming to the match, the freshman from Rifle, Colorado. Finishing that one off in front of the net, and now the lead has grown to double digits. It's 16-6 FDU. Trying to take a commanding 2-0 lead here if they could get to 25 points. That one is long. Another point for FDU. It's up to a 17-6 advantage. Opening set was back and forth affair. It eventually finishes a 25-19 win for the Knights. This has been a dominant second set right now for FDU. Capellas got the initial piece of it, popped up in the air, and now a nice fadeaway shot and a finish in front of the net for St. Peter's. Madeline Harrison, the 6'2 freshman from Boston, New York. And that ends as a point for FDU. As you can kind of tell, fans, I had to do a double take just to make sure that my notes were correct. Yes, there is such a place as Boston, New York. So the point secured by FDU. The Knights on top and rolling here, 18-7 in set number 2 for David Wynn's side. Looks like there might be a wet spot on the floor. Madison Burney wants to attend to it. She's flipped a towel from her head coach, doing her dirty work on the floor here. (18-7) the lead. Fisk and Vaschetti alongside Futska, each with 4 kills. A balanced scoring effort tonight here for FDU. Sarah Watts is now taking the lead with 8 digs throughout this match. There she is again, working her magic in the back. That time a little too hard. This time to the near side by Vaschetti. She shoots it long, and that goes for a point. 18-8 now. St. Peter's will serve, trailing by 10. Conrad will serve. Had 39 assists in the 5-set loss against Manhattan. And that's a mishit into the net by FDU, and another point here for the Peacocks of St. Peter's. St. Peter's in the blue. FDU in the burgundy tops with the blue shorts here tonight. Burney popped up. Schmidt setting up. Vaschetti to the far side. Deflected last touch off of St. Peter's. Another point for FDU. Their lead goes to 19-9. Vaschetti now serving. Popped up, sent over by Kuzma. Kuzma did not get that initial opportunity, and then Billhartz blocked at the net. And FDU back-to-back points. Now 5 points away from taking set number 2. They're on top 20-9. Samantha Whitholtz is now into the match for FDU for the first time, number 4. As that time, the service too long. That'll be a service error and a point over to St. Peter's. It's now a 20-10 lead. Kuzma will serve now. And Kuzma will return the favor with the service error too long. Both teams with back-to-back service errors. Now a point going over to the Knights. FDU 4 points away, 21-10. the lead for FDU. As Anaya Prince will come into the match for the first time, the 5'11 sophomore from East Brunswick, New Jersey. As Sarah Watts, the freshman from Houston, Texas, will serve. Send over. Good job there by Whitholes of getting low for it. Bernie. Rocket shot to the near side. Conrad got a piece of it. And a nice decision there on the far side. That's going to be a point for St. Peter's. Faked like they were going to go long with it. Instead, went down that far side wing. 21-11. Now the deficit for St. Peter's as Billhartz will serve. Nice teamwork there in front for FDU. Whitholtz got the first piece of it from Bernie, and instead of just trying to get it over, actually sent it backwards to set up a better angle for Anaya Prince. And Prince finished it home with the kill. Unselfish play there by Whitholtz, getting it to Prince. Prince finishing it off with the point. And it's now 22-11. FDU doubling up St. Peter's here in set number 2. Bernie. Ricochet that into the top of the net. That will venture backwards for a point now for St. Peter's. The lead is now down to 10, 22-12. Now serving is going to be Alexis Capellas, the junior from Jonesboro, Arkansas. Skying high that time was Spiritonakis. St. Peter's just getting it over. Prince got a piece of it at the net. Spiritonakis again. This time to the near side. That goes out, and that's going to be another point for St. Peter's. 22-13. The FDU lead here in set number 2. Capellas will be credited there for the ace. FDU struggling to return that, so kind of like what we saw near the end of the first set. St. Peter's going on a bit of a run here to try to pull a little closer. 22-14 now the lead for the Knights. That's popped straight up by Capellas. Might have been saving it from what would have been going a little too long on the play. Spiritonakis, that time, got a double deflection. And it had eyes to the far side for a point. Again, going back earlier on that volley, looked like Spiritonakis' shot was going to go long, but Capellas got her mid on it and popped it up, kept the play going. 23-14, Bernie now serving for FDU. 2 points away from taking commanding 2-0 lead. Blocked in front of the net. Biscetti got a piece of it. Now Prince getting a piece of it. Bushnell popping it up. Biscetti popped up there by Capellas. Good volley between the two sides. Now Prince trying to get it up and over. Longest volley of the match now from both sides. Double block in front. FDU looking to get it over. Bernie does. Capellas pops it up. Exciting action here. Bernie saving it. Watts getting it back to Bernie. Both teams looking for this hard-earned point. Bernie digs it out. Over to the far side. Spiritonakis. And finally, the long point is earned by FDU as both teams traded the opportunities. And now it is set point here in set number 2 for FDU, 24-14. And after that long back and forth, it's going to be a timeout taken by St. Peter's to try to catch their wind a bit here. 24-14, FDU has been in command here throughout this second set. What great action back and forth between these two sides after that long sustained volley between both teams. Biscetti still leading the scoring on 6 kills so far here tonight for FDU in this match. Anna Schmidt now with a team-leading 10 assists. 11 digs on the evening for Sarah Watts, the Libero. On the other side for St. Peter's, Peacocks being led by Now number 16, Ava Harmon's 5 kills on the night. 8 assists for Lillian Conrad. 11 digs also for Conrad to lead in that statistical category for the visitors. But FDU now a point away from making it 2-0 to start off this evening here at home. They're trying to defeat the Peacocks after St. Peter's handed FDU a loss last season in 4 sets, 3-1. That was the first win of the season in 2021 for St. Peter's, knocking off the Knights in the Ocean State. Here's Bernie serving again on set point, and that's going to be just a little too long. St. Peter's laying off that one. It's 24-15 now, the lead for FDU. They won opening set 25-19. On top here, 24-15. Madison Somberg from Michigan will serve here for the Peacocks. And that is deflected. Last touch out of bounds off of St. Peter's. And Vischetti and FDU have taken command here as they win set number 2 by a final score of 25-15. And now are 1 set away from what would be their 4th consecutive win at home, all by identical 3-0 wins. FDU taking on another conference opponent that comes from, or out-of-conference opponent, I should say, that comes from the MAC. They defeated Niagara 3-0 back on September 3rd. Lost to Fairfield 3-0 on September 9th. Fairfield sitting in first place in the MAC. And defeated Manhattan 3-0 just a couple of matches ago here that kicked off their homestands here in Hackensack. Again, taking a look at the stats here, the first 2 sets of tonight's match for St. Peter's, led by number 16, Ava Harmon, the freshman from Kennesaw, Georgia, with a team-leading 5 kills on the night. 8 assists right now for Lillian Conrad. Conrad also leads the team with 11 digs on the evening. And in looking at the stats after the first 2 sets for FDU, they are being led by Georgia Vischetti, 7 kills. 10 assists for Hannah Schmidt. Schmidt also with 2 service aces. 11 digs for Sarah Watts. That's after the first 2 sets here in Hackensack. So we'll take a short time out here as we'll be back for the start of set number 3 in Hackensack with FDU on top of St. Peter's 2-0 on NEC Front Row.
Great seats. Safer, simpler, and smarter with TicketSmarter. Choose great seats from over 125,000 live events, all backed with a TicketSmarter 100% ticket guarantee. Get your tickets smarter at TicketSmarter.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Stratus Arena inside the Rothman Center, the campus of FDU in Hackensack, New Jersey. Dan Long, Preston Jones. Glad you could join us here on NEC Front Row. Out-of-conference women's volleyball showdown. FDU on top of St. Peter's, 2-0 in the first 2 sets. Our match officials here today, Paul DeCurtis and Jim Fedora are the 2 referees. Ryan Hugh and Russell Rodriguez, the 2 line judges, doing their jobs here tonight. FDU doing their job. 25-19 win in set number 1, 25-15 in set number 2, and trying to finish off another matchup here, potentially in straight sets. Trying to go to 4-0 here at Stratus Arena inside the Rothman Center to start off the 2022 season, as they were on the road and at neutral sites throughout the majority of the beginning of their season. And FDU has been off to a good start also in conference play, defeating Merrimack and Stonehill. 2-0 record has them tied with Sacred Heart and St. Francis University atop the Northeast Conference. They will be back in action for conference play in their next fixture on October 1st against St. Francis University here in Hackensack. So we're about to start set number 3. Megan Bushnell of FDU about to serve here. Bushnell serves, and that eats up St. Peter's completely. Bushnell with the ace. Ava Harmon just was handcuffed completely. No chance for the freshman to return that one. It's a 1-0 lead for FDU to start off the third set. Goes right at Harmon's direction again with the service. And that time, that was a mishit by Morgan Thurlow, the freshman from Brooklyn, New York. 2-0 start to set number 3 here for the Knights of FDU. Bushnell, once again, trying to do the dirty work here. St. Peter's rallies just to get to it in time. Set it over to the far side. Fischetti with a nice touch. And a 3-0 start to set number 3 for David Wynn's troops. Fischetti has been leading in terms of the kills so far in this match for FDU. Blocked out in front. Finds its way back to Watts, setting up inside. And that time it's last touch. As FDU gets the points, 4-0 lead for the Knights, starting things off here. Nice job by Kimber Lang out in front, the freshman from Colorado. Saw time in the second set, starting off set number 3 as well, as that one is deposited just in front of Bernie in the back line. For the first point of the third set here for St. Peter's. They're down by 3, 4-1. Fischetti to the near side, ducking out of the way was Dillon. And it also fell in just in front of the line judge as well. Deflected off the floor inbounds and then went to the line judge, and now does it look like Coach Joe Chinaki is going to be challenging whether or not that was a good point. Looked like it was a good point to us from our vantage point right here, that was bounced in and finished off as a point. It would be 5-1 here for FDU. So again, they'll look it over as it's a replay to see whether or not it was in fact inbounds. And again, from our vantage point, we had a great one here midcourt where that shot was taken, and it looked like it was clearly inbounds, that it deflected, then up off the floor and almost hitting the face of the back line judge. So after the review, it is not a positive outcome for St. Peter's, as that was clearly a point on the play. So the point is awarded to FDU. They lead 5-1 to start off the third set. Fischetti serving now. And that one falls just inside the back line in between Watts and Fischetti. 5-2 deficit now facing the Peacocks. Lakin Dillon, freshman from Wiley, Texas, serving here for St. Peter's. In front, almost a slam dunk finish. as once again it's Kimber Lang. Lang who had a kill against Manhattan. Had 2 total kills coming into the season. Getting her most playing time here today against St. Peter's. She's been effective as Harmon pops it straight up. Back to Harmon now. Watts, full extension dive. Burney popping it forward. Muschetti just mistimed her jump a little bit from the back line. Couldn't get enough elevation up and over the net. And that'll be a point now for St. Peter's. 6-3 is the lead for FDU. Capellas will serve. Muschetti diving forward. Burney. And St. Peter's back-to-back points have crawled their way back to within 2 at 6-4. Capellas now again serving. Burney. That one is popped straight up in the air. Capellas will venture backwards. Good volley here between both sides. Burney just throwing it forward. St. Peter's desperately trying to get it over and a miss hit there by Dillon. Looked like Dillon and Harmon were kind of in between who was going to handle that. And then it ended up hitting into the top of the net. 7-4 lead now for FDU. Coming into the match now to serve is Samantha Whitholes, a freshman from Orlando, Florida. Had 10 assists recently against Merrimack. Burney popping it up. Back to Burney in the far side wing. Nice job by Dillon getting all the way out to make the save. And there's Muschetti doing the exact same thing. And St. Peter's rallies but can't get to it in time. Outstanding job by FDU. That time it was Georgia Muschetti with the hustle play from the back line. Full dive extension on the hardwood to pop that ball up, and eventually it ended up as a point for the Knights. 8-4 lead for FDU. There's a service error by Whitholes into the net. 8-5 lead now for the Knights as service will go back over to St. Peter's. Burney met at the net and just dropped over. A little miscommunication in front by FDU. And now St. Peter's once again pulling closer. Serving down by only 2, 8-6. Much more competitive third set. And FDU laying off that one. Burney was kind of in between. Her teammate Sarah Watts was screaming to lay off it. And it just went out of bounds for the service error. 9-6 lead for FDU as Burney will serve on the far side. And that time, that's a service error for FDU, so it goes back over to St. Peter's. 9-7 their deficit. Here's Elena Billhartz. Billhartz, as both teams now 3 consecutive service errors between them two. Now Anaya Prince will serve. Dug out, played right by the net. Prince diving all the way forward. What hustle there by number 22. Met at the net, deflected, and a point secured by FDU. That started with Anaya Prince. Good serve. Then she hustled all the way from the back line. Full dive. And eventually it was finished off in front. 11-7. Near side, drop shot. Finished off by Camille Thonis. Thonis, the 5'10 junior outside hitter from Highlands Ranch, Colorado. As FDU just gets it over. 11-8 lead. Thonis, once again, just trying to drop shot. It's into the banner that marks Stratus Arena inside here, the Rothman Center. And that goes right at the feet of around Sarah Watts. Tried to make a diving effort, couldn't get to it in time. And the Peacocks showing some pride here. Down by only 2 yet again here in a hard-fought third set. That time the shot going a little wide to the far side, and it's now only a 1-point lead for FDU. The lead has shrunk into 11-10. It's a matchup of 2 New Jersey schools. Only 2 total Jersey girls between both teams. 1 player each from the Garden State. Bischetti. Dillon dug it out. Nice job there of getting low. Whitholz. Spiritonakis could not get that one returned. Harmon had it, but Trayer angling off her arm, carrying out of bounds to the far side. Much needed point for David Wynn's team. 12-10. Now the FDU lead as Megan Bushnell comes back into the match. Yet if you're just joining us, FDU on top of St. Peter's here in this non-conference affair. 2 sets to none. Trying to finish this one off, but St. Peter's not going quietly into the night. Down by only 2 here in the third set. And that time, that's a winner inside the back line by Georgia Bischetti. FDU back on top by 3. Now make it 4. Service ace. Little miscommunication in the back line there for St. Peter's, deciding whether or not to let it play, and they let it play, and it fell in for an ace. That's popped up and just deflected off of Kimber Lang, and that'll end as a point for the Peacocks. As it is a 14-11 lead right now in this third set for FDU. Georgia Bischetti now up to 10 kills on the night in the match. Bischetti denied another opportunity in front. FDU can't get to it. And that's going to be a point for St. Peter's. So every time that it looks like FDU has gotten a little distance, their lead was as many as 4 just moments ago. It's back-to-back points secured by St. Peter's. Now St. Peter's with a chance to pull to within 1 again. But they shoot it a little too long and out of bounds wide to the near side. 15-12. FDU on top by 3. And it looks like David Wynn will call for a timeout and talk things over with his Knights, who lead by 3, 15-12 here in set number 3. Trying to sweep away St. Peter's and stretch their win streak to 4 straight matches on the season. As you're all watching all the action here, your broadcast home for FDU Athletics on NEC Front Row. Megan Bushnell has now taken the team lead with 14 assists in this match to go along with 3 service aces. Bischetti with 10 kills, 12 digs for Sarah Watts. FDU 10 points away from taking down St. Peter's. Took them down a season ago in 4 sets. One of their 3 wins in the 2021 season came against these Knights. Bischetti out of the timeout. Service error into the net. Point over to St. Peter's, who now will serve down by 2 again. 15-13. Lakin Dillon. Bernie had it deflect out of bounds. Last touch off of St. Peter's. Another point on the board for FDU. 16-13 Knights. Watts, again, leads the team with digs so far here in this match. One hands it, pops it up to Bushnell. Bernie, drop shot. St. Peter's races over, but they can't keep it in play. Deflects out of bounds to the far side wing. Lead is back up to 4 for FDU, 17-13. Dan Long, Preston Jones, courtside here. It's on NEC front row. Knights trying to go to 8-10 on the season with a win. It would tie their win total from a season ago when they went 8-20. Popped up. His program is growing in leaps and bounds and confidence, certainly in this homestand as well. 2-0 start to conference play and trying to secure another out-of-conference win. And that time, the spike finish by Hannah Schmidt. A sophomore from Frisco, Texas. Deposited that one in for the winner, and now it's the largest lead of set number 3 for FDU, 18-13. Schmidt tries to desperately get it over, just couldn't have enough. All momentum taking her elsewhere. Rallied to that one and just didn't have enough mustard on it to get it up and over the net. 18-14, the deficit now facing St. Peter's. And that time, an ace. Schmidt couldn't get it over in time for FDU. Lead is down to 3. St. Peter's only twice this year have played to at least a 4th set. Bernie, nice job by Dillon. St. Peter's trying to go on a run after they trailed by as many as 5. The lead is down to 3. It's eating up the Peacocks in the back line. They do get it over in time. Setting up to Schmidt. Schmidt fires it home after it deflects off the arm of Somberg. 19-15. FDU in front and in charge here at home. A pair of subs coming in. Whitholes and Spiritonakos coming into the match. Whitholes will serve. Knights trying to remain perfect here at home this year. They're 3-0 this season. Good effort in front by Prince. Just couldn't keep it in play. That'll go out for a point for St. Peter's. 3-point lead for FDU, 19-16. This has been the most competitive of all the sets so far. St. Peter's getting that one, a cross-court winner right in front. 19-17, the lead for FDU. So once again, St. Peter's clawing their way back. Watts popping it up. Bernie tried a little misdeception there. Spiritonakos has that ricochet. Last touch off the deflection. Off of St. Peter's, out of bounds. A point for the Knights. They're 5 points away from sweeping away this out-of-conference showdown against in-state rival St. Peter's. 20-17. And it looks like a timeout's going to be taken by St. Peter's' head coach, Joe Chonacki. Chonacki, in his 4th season at the helm of this Peacock program, has coaching experience in the New York, New Jersey area, having coached at Adelphi, Fordham, St. John's, and NYIT. And also not only has coaching experience, but media experience, so that's going to obviously perk my ears up a bit. When not coaching, he has also served as a play-by-play announcer, color analyst while covering volleyball for several different networks, and has won 2 Peabody Awards while working at CNN as a studio operator. So I better stay on my game here, or Coach Janacki might be also to show off his talents behind the microphone. I'm happy to be here courtside with you Stratus Arena inside the Rothman Center. Dan Long, Preston Jones. FDU trying to go to 8-10 on the season, win their 4th consecutive match, and do so also winning in straight sets, 3-0 advantages. Here's Bernie now starting off out of the timeout. 20-17 lead for her side. And there's a kill, finished off by Elena Billhartz. Billhartz, the tallest player on the St. Peter's side, 6'3" freshman from Round Rock, Texas. She will now serve with her team down by 2, 20-18. Far side wing, and that one is in for a winner. St. Peter's was gambling, was hoping that that was going to go a little too long, but Fischetti had other intentions. Had the accuracy on that hard shot as well. And Giorgia Fischetti, the freshman from Italy, has been brilliant here all evening long. 21-18, FDU serving on top by 3. Prince, one of the few Jersey girls, as I mentioned, in this one. It gets deflected, last touch out of bounds off of Kapalis of St. Peter's. And FDU stretches their lead back out to 4, 22-18. Anaya Prince, 3 kills last season in the matchup against St. Peter's. Getting more playing time here, playing a lot in sets number 2 and 3. Bernie popping it up. Prince will get it over. Got the net deflected. Diving play. Fischetti getting it over for FDU. And that one is just inside the back line for a cross-court winner for Camille Thonis, who celebrated after that shot found its placement. 22-19 the deficit for the visitors, but time running out for the Peacocks. Down by 3, and FDU 3 points away from winning the match. Inside, and that's going to be a point. They're going to say that was a touch off of St. Peter's. And after Kimber Lang was firing that one, it went a little too long, but again, it was off fingertips. That's what deflected it, so the last touch off of St. Peter's, another point awarded to FDU, and the Knights are 2 points away from sewing this one up. 23-19. Bushnell back in to serve. She's got 3 aces here tonight. And that's going to be another point for FDU, and now it's at match point here in set number 3, 24-19. FDU a point away. Bushnell. Harmon popping it up. Bushnell getting a piece of it. Watts. Schmidt. FDU a point away from winning the match. Will they get it to Fischetti? No. They get it to Schmidt. Schmidt. And that time it handcuffed the defender, and FDU will win by a final of 25-19 in set number 3. So the identical margin of the first set when it was 25-19. FDU won the second set 25-15, and then again capture set number 3, 25-19 as well. FDU will improve to 8-10 overall on the season and stretch their season-long win streak to 4 matches in a row here at Stratus Arena inside the Rothman Center. St. Peter's will fall to 0-16 on the season. Next time up, the Peacocks will be hosting Marist in Jersey City on October 1st, and the next match here for FDU will feature them here at home in a conference showdown against St. Francis University on October 1st in a match that you can see here on NEC Front Row. So again, that'll do it for us here from Stratus Arena inside the Rothman Center in Hackensack, New Jersey. Your final score, FDU 3 and St. Peter's University 0. Thank you so much for everybody tuning in and supporting these athletes from both fine institutions. For my producer, Preston Jones, I'm Dan Long saying so long, and we'll see you next time on NEC Front Row.